What is happening, my people? Welcome back. You're listening to The Introverted Nerd Watches. I am your host, Reese, and I am back for more of the Summer of Malibu Sands, because in this episode, I watched Season 4, Episode 8 of Saved by the Bell, My Boyfriend's Back. I'm really enjoying this Summer of Malibu Sands, you guys. I just came up with that too. The Summer of Malibu Sands. I think that's because I always watch these episodes in the summer. Now, if I was not as lazy as I am, I would have actually done just a teensy tiny bit of research to see whether these episodes actually aired originally in the summer. But that's not my way. That's not the way I do things on this Saved by the Bell podcast. I wing it. If I can't get the information off of Hulu, then it don't get done. You know me. You love me. You appreciate that about me. You think I'm quirky and cute. I don't know where that came from. But so yeah, I'm back. And like I am every week for Saved by the Bell, I'm freaking loving this show right now. Like this was a really good episode. See, this is like one of the times that I'm not like super disappointed in the show, where my memory of the show is like just as good as it is watching it right now. Because I know on back episodes, I used to be really excited for an episode that was coming up, and then the episode would get here and I would be like, really? Like, is that what I was waiting for? Wow. But now with the Malibu Sands episode specifically, I'm like, oh, this is my shit. This is the Saved by the Bell that I love. And that hopefully everybody loves hearing me talk about. So before I get into this episode, I want to tell you that you should subscribe to the podcast. If you haven't done it already, you should be subscribed. It's been 70 some odd episodes, you guys. Subscribe to the podcast. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. I'm also on iHeartRadio. So get those apps. Subscribe to the podcast, leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and I'll read it on the show. Only 5-star reviews. You do not get read on the show if you only leave a 4-star review. 4-star review, very nice. Does not get read on the show. So let's get into this episode. So my boyfriend's back, and Zack and Stacy are in the throes of a budding new romance, and it is just as corny as you think it would be. Like, they're not even really cute together. Like, I like Stacy separate from Zack, because yeah, I like Stacy. Zack and Stacy together just sort of like, they're like meh to me. I don't, they're together for the summer. They'll never see each other again after this summer. So I'm cool with it for these, like, what is it? 6 or 7 episodes, however many episodes this Malibu Sands Beach Club thing lasts. So I'm going to deal with it. So these two fools, and Stacy wearing the most 90s outfit. My girl is wearing a pair of light wash jeans. They are such mom jeans. I love it. And she's wearing a denim jacket that has flowers on it. It's like, oh my God. I so wanted a pair of jeans that have flowers on them. Like the print was flowers. I don't know why I wanted a pair of pants like that, a pair of jeans like that so bad, but that was like my dream when I was like 10 years old or something like that. My friend Judith had a pair and I wanted a pair just like hers. So Stacy wearing the jacket that was meant to go with my floral jeans. Oh my God, I love it. So Stacy and Zack, they just got back from like a movie or something. They were on a date. I believe it's a movie. And he said, oh yeah, they were at a movie because Zack said, or Stacy says, you said you would pay for the movie, so and I said I would treat for dinner. And my girl takes him back to the beach club. Like, really, Stacy? You take him back to the beach club so you can make him something there. And so Zack like kind of rightfully shades her like, oh, I didn't think you would bring me back here. Like, Zack, you're a piece of shit. You can't really talk to anybody. But I would have shaded Stacy too. Like, you can't bring me back to our job after our movie date or whatever, Stacy. So she says, the benefit of being the boss's daughter is that I know where the chef keeps all the good food. And then she proceeds to take out a tray of cheese, like stacks of cheese, some sort of meat that was either bologna or ham, in a tub of country crock margarine. Really, Stacy? Really? That's the fancy food that you were talking about? I was like, I did not remember. This is one of the things I didn't remember. I didn't remember her saying, calling this tray of lunch meat fancy food. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, this is a fancy beach club. Fancy beach clubs do not have bologna. And they don't have like those Oscar Mayer like prepackaged prepackaged lunch meat and shit. I was like, what the hell is she doing? It was so funny. She takes out this and like it's all set up on a tray for her. It's like, come on, you guys. Come on, Saved by the Bell, set designers, producers, whoever's job it was to set this up. You couldn't have gotten something that looked a little more fancy. Like, you couldn't have gotten, sandwiches that were already pre-made, like tea sandwiches or something. You had to like let her take out the Oscar Mayer the Oscar Mayer lunch meat. That, like, who even buys that stuff? It's so nasty. Does anybody still buy that? Like, I know they still have that at the grocery store because I see it sometimes. But I would never buy that stuff. Like, when you go to grocery store, you get your meat, your lunch meat like sliced at the deli counter, right? You don't go to the Oscar Mayer stuff. That's like, I'm side-eyeing you if you eat that prepackaged like shitty deli meat. Like, I'm really like side-eyeing you. You better stop it. If you listen to this show, don't you ever buy that stuff ever again. You go to the deli counter and you wait until your number is called and you get your meat sliced there. Oh my God, you guys, I shouldn't have to tell you this. You're adults. And if you're not an adult, you tell your parents what I said. You don't let them do that to you. You don't let them make you eat that Oscar Mayer stuff where it's like, ugh, it's so disgusting. Let me move on because I'm getting grossed out just thinking about it. This stuff is gross. So, this is okay. This is like white nonsense is what I called it in my notes. I was like, oh my God, Stacy doing this. This is like white nonsense she is doing with this meat right now. So my girl, she has the tray right there and she's like making sandwiches. So she starts spreading the margarine out on the bread, and I was like, oh, so she's about to make like a grilled cheese, like a grilled ham and cheese, or bologna and cheese or something. So it was like, cool. I don't remember this, but that's cool. But no, she was spreading margarine out on it, and then she goes to the refrigerator to get mustard. So I'm like, and I didn't see her turn any fires on, and I didn't see like a frying pan or anything. So what they're about to eat is some bread with margarine and mustard on it with ham and or bologna and cheese. Not, heated like a grilled cheese, just with that stuff spread on it. Like, ew. Like, ew. That is disgusting. Oh my God. It did make me want a grilled cheese sandwich before I saw that she was going to put mustard and shit on it. Oh my God, Stacy's disgusting. So I couldn't get over it either. For like 5 minutes, I was like, what is she doing? Like, why would she do this? The scene was over. We had moved way past it. And I was just like, I cannot believe she's spreading margarine and mustard on this sandwich thing. Oh. Oh, do you want to know what I have? I told you about my tea in like the last episode. I am drinking for the first time some pistachio ice cream tea. Oh my God. This shit is good. I can't even tell you. Now, it was like $9 for this loose leaf tea. And that was because it was on sale too. I had a coupon code for it. But I would pay full price for this. Now, that's my seal of approval. Like, if I buy something on sale, it's like, okay, good, I got it on sale. But I would actually pay full price for this pistachio ice cream tea from David's Tea. So you got my seal of approval. That's like, it's equivalent to the royal seal in England. Like, that's what this shit is. This shit is good. It's so good. And it tastes just like pistachio ice cream. So onward through Saved by the Bell. So while Stacy's making her disgusting garbage sandwiches, Zack is like looking at her, and what Zack wants to do is tell Stacy he loves her. Now, you guys, how long could these two have been dating? Like, realistically, a few days, maybe a week. I mean, it's been such a short period of time that they've been able to hide their relationship from Mr. Carosi. So, like, I don't know. Zack moves fast because he's like looking at her and he's like trying to stare into her eyes and he's grabbing her hand, and he wants to tell her that he loves her, but instead he tells her that he loves the way she butters bread. So oh my God. And Stacy is wanting him to tell her that he loves her. So she's into this. So they're both into this, like, let's go super fast kind of relationship. I don't even understand it. Like, I was like, wait, what? When Zack I'm like, the summer is, you just started dating this girl. You spent the first like 2 weeks that you worked there in this sort of blood feud with her, and she hated your guts. And now you're dating, and you kissed at the end of the last episode, and then suddenly at the beginning of this episode, you want to go like love? Really, Zack Morris? Whatever. Zack is like really into the feelings. And that's cool and all, but my guy, just take a step back. Like, both of you, cool off for a second. You don't love each other. You barely liked each other 2 episodes ago. So, they, date's over. Next day, there's a staff meeting on the beach. And this is when we get Zack Morris with no shirt on. And when I saw the little like picture on Hulu, I was like, oh crap, like Zack got kind of buff. But watching the episode, I was like, oh no, Zack, you didn't get kind of buff. Like, you're like regular old guy, and you shouldn't have your shirt off because he doesn't have like Screech levels of chicken chest or anything, but he's definitely not Slater levels of buff yet. He has not hit that. He has not gotten on the Mario Lopez steroids regimen. You know, he is not ready for that no shirt life. And it's like, okay, there's a staff meeting. Zack is a waiter. Everybody else has their uniforms on. They're all, they could all walk into work after this meeting. Slater's the only one the other one with his top off, because he's a lifeguard. So he's on the beach. Why is Zack without a shirt is what I don't understand. He's standing there without a shirt with his super long underarm hair, which looks disgusting. I could not focus on anything else. Like he had his back to the ocean and he was leaning over something and you could see his underarm hair. And I'm like, no. See, Zack, you go talk to Mario Lopez. He'll tell you that if you're going to be a guy that doesn't have shirt on, you got to trim those underarm hairs, because you don't see Slater's underarm hairs, do you? No. Slater was ready for this. Slater was ready for the beach. He knew he was going to be on TV. And that underarm hair looks like nasty sometimes, especially on guys. And I know he wasn't, it's just grossing me out again. I'm just so grossed out in this episode, but I loved it. I love this episode, but I was so grossed out. So, this is where we find out there's an ATV race, the annual ATV race. Like, I don't understand what's going on at this beach club. There's pageants and beach club races, and there's the volleyball tournament. There's a ton of shit going on, and it's like, do rich people really do they really want to do this? Because you find out that the ATV race is for the staff are the people that enter, and they get the members to sponsor them for the race. So it's like, wait, I can't, like, if this rich life sounds awful. Like the Bayside, Saved by the Bell, rich people life sounds awful. Like you go on vacation to compete against children and to ruin their lives. And then you have to sponsor them and stupid ATV races on the beach, like when you should be out relaxing. No, this is like the rich life of Saved by the Bell sounds terrible, unless your name is Zack Morris and you can do whatever the fuck you want. So Zack confides in his two dude friends that he's in love with Stacy. He doesn't even want to joke about it. Like even Slater was like, yo, dude, I'm sorry, because he started joking about how Zack was into Stacy. They blowing kisses to each other and shit. And he starts joking about it, and Zack cut that shit off right, like real fast. He was like, no, Slater, no, this is serious. And even Slater was like, whoa, I'm sorry, dude. He didn't say it like that. He's not Keanu Reeves. But so Zack decides, or Slater tells Zack that he should, set up a romantic evening with Stacy to tell her that he loves her. And, good advice, I guess. You never see it, so it doesn't even matter. It's like they talk about this date that they're supposed to have to Crystal Cave or Crystal Cove or something like that. They talk about it a lot. It never happens, and they end up sitting on the beach, so whatever. So Jesse and Slater talk because, they're back into their arguing, phasey thing, and they're not together anymore. They don't even mention that they were together, so I don't know what the relationship status is. Still unknown for these two. They argue a lot, but they always argue a lot. You never know whether they're together or whether they're just friends. They always argue. So that's something you can always depend on, and I love it. So Slater, for once, is not being sexist. And I really appreciate it. So he walks up to Jessie and he tells her, like, yo, girl, I saw that you signed up for the ATV race. But riding an ATV, kind of difficult. Are you sure this is what you want to do? And Jessie, who I'm like, okay, Jessie, I understand you. She was kind of with an attitude at first, like, yo, who the fuck are you to tell me that I shouldn't be riding ATV? Do you think women can't drive ATVs? Is that it, Slater? And it's like, okay, I get it. Slater, you got a bad reputation. I understand Jessie being like, get the fuck out of my face at first. But then Slater shocked the shit out of me when he says to her, like, no, this is not about women not being able to drive ATVs. This is about you, Jessica Spano. You can drive an ATV because you can barely drive a car. And I'm like, okay, Slater, I got you. But then Jessie continues to have her attitude when he explains himself. And it's like, okay, Jessie, take it down a notch. You didn't even know that the ATV was called an ATV. She started calling it like an AT&T. Like, she couldn't remember what the ATV was actually called. And Slater has to explain it to her. So I'm like, okay, Jessie, if you don't even know what this thing is called and you've never driven one before, maybe you should listen to Slater because he seems like he knows a lot about it. Like, he's not being a dick for once. Like, take some advice. This is a vehicle. It's dangerous. Ozzy Osbourne almost died riding an ATV once. It like flipped over on him. If Ozzy Osbourne can almost, get hurt, well, no. Ozzy could get hurt like walking down the street. So that dude's got problems. But anyway, an ATV, a motor vehicle, like really heavy and dangerous if you've never driven one before. So speaking of that, how is Mr. Carosi holding this race with a bunch of, he's letting a bunch of children enter this race? Does he have insurance to cover that? Doesn't he need parental permission to give, to let these kids ride these things? Whatever. I don't know. Mr. Carosi doesn't seem like the type that would follow rules anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, out of nowhere, halfway through this episode, this dude named Craig shows up. Craig, Stacy's old boyfriend. And this is the boyfriend from the title of the episode. Her boyfriend is back, y'all. So Craig shows up. Craig, the tall guy from the East Coast, who's a sophomore at Yale, is Stacy's boyfriend. This raises all kinds of questions. How old is Stacy Carosi, y'all? How old is she? I don't understand this. He's a sophomore. So what's that? 19 years old? 19, maybe 20 years old. We know Zack is only 16. Maybe 17. So how old is Stacy? What school does she go to? Is she on break from college? Is Stacy a college student? Does she go to Yale as well? I don't understand. I don't understand it. I need to know how old Stacy is because we'll never find out. But I need to know how old she actually is because this doesn't track for me. But whatever. Craig's a dick from the East Coast. And he surprises Stacy. He just shows up out of nowhere and then he kisses her and Stacy's surprised, but it's like Stacy, my New York girl turns into this meek mouse because Craig is kissing her and he's kind of running her life for a little while. And she never speaks up. She doesn't really say anything. She just looks with this sad look on her face. Oh my God, you don't do that to Stacy Carosi. Stacy is she's a bad bitch. You cannot bring corny Craig in here and let him stifle my Stacy. and have me be okay with it. I'm not okay with it. So of course, Mr. Carosi comes in. He's fangirling all over Craig, and Craig confides in Mr. Carosi that he plans to ask Stacy to wear his fraternity pin. And Mr. Carosi's all happy because to him, it's almost like this fraternity pin is like this sort of pre-engagement thing that Craig and Mr. Carosi sort of realize. It's like, oh, like this is one step closer to Stacy and Craig like getting married. And of course, Mr. Carosi is happy because Craig has rich parents and, you know, whatever. He's just on his dick. And so Craig and Stacy, and I don't understand how, okay, so Stacy and Zack going out together, they seem to be really into each other. But then Craig shows up, and I don't know how long he's there, but it's like he and Stacy sort of fall into a relationship as well. Like, I don't know how long was Craig there before they're just hanging out, and like, I don't know. It's wild because and then we get into a situation where all of Zack's friends know that Stacy's boyfriend is there. But Zack doesn't know. So it's like, okay. So Stacy has a whole other boyfriend who she's hanging out with for who knows how long. And I don't know when the last time she's seen Zack was, but they work together and they're going out. But then all of Zack's friends, like the only people that Zack hangs out with, they all know about Stacy's other boyfriend. And they've all kind of avoided it until Screech, because of course Screech has to be like no chill. The dude has zero chill. He's in the dining room at work, like when Zack is trying to work. And he's being like super obvious, trying to get Zack out of there so he won't see Stacy and corny Craig. But of course, that doesn't work. And Zack walks over to the table. And of course, corny Craig doesn't know who Zack is. So he tries to introduce himself like, hey, I'm Stacy's boyfriend. And Zack doesn't even let anything else be said. He's just like, nope, I'm out of here. And he slams down the water picture on the table. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the second time that Zack gets in a hissy fit and storms out of his job. Like, my guy, you cannot do this. and this is what sort of changed my mind about Mr. Carosi, because I'm like, okay, Mr. Carosi's a dick, and I used to think that he was like really hard on them, and he's an asshole. But I'm like thinking like Mr. Carosi can't run a really tight ship and still have somebody like Zack working for him, because Zack just does whatever the fuck he wants. Like, he doesn't even like try to be mature about it. Like, nobody has ever made Zack be a mature person, because I swear he just throws a hissy fit and storms out of there. You can't do that in front of customers, right? You got to be a little more professional. Whatever. That's not Zack's way. Zack only knows one way: to storm out and to be a baby about it. So, you know, Zack not only leaves his shift early, my dude wants to quit his job because Stacy has because of this guy, because of corny Craig. And who is it? Lisa and Slater have to talk him out of it because Zack is also going to be in the ATV race, and Lisa's family is sponsoring him. So Lisa sort of guilts him and tells him like, yo, my parents spent a lot of money to sponsor your ass for this ATV race. You ain't going nowhere. Put your shit back and practice for this race. You know, I don't care whether you want to be a waiter or not, but what you ain't going to do is leave right now. I wish Lisa would have said something like that, but no, she told him that she was nice about it. And she told him, you know, you're not a quitter, Zack. When I think he is. Isn't Zack kind of a quitter? Doesn't he quit a lot? I feel like Zack quits a lot. So I don't know this Zack Morris that doesn't quit, like Lisa says, but whatever. Lisa knows best. So I assume Stacy and Craig have just been walking around being together this whole time. And so Mr. Carosi sets up this whole ceremony, the pin giving ceremony, with the staff in the dining room of the beach club. And so it's the whole gang standing around this table full of flowers and candles and like a gong. And it's just it's so ridiculous that this is what happens. So there's a whole ceremony for Craig to give Stacy his pen. And it starts off with Mr. Carosi's, telling Stacy that how much he loves her. Like, it's a whole production about how much he loves her, but now he's giving her over to someone else. And this is when Craig starts talking, and this ceremony is so busted. It is so bad. And Stacy is standing there like a deer in headlights. She doesn't know what's going on. Craig takes out his, fraternity pin, and he tells Stacy that he'll love her until the deepest sea runs dry. And then he pins her. He puts his pin on her dress, and then he says, "Yes, now we're going to be together forever." And I was like, wait, what? Since when does this mean? Since when does a fraternity pin mean we're going to be together forever? What? I was just like, I didn't even know. I'm like right now, I don't even know how to formulate a thought about it because it's so out there ridiculous to me. I don't even know. I've never heard of this whole fraternity pinning thing, because when Craig talked about the fraternity pin earlier, when he asked Mr. Carosi about it, he sort of asked the way you would ask somebody if you could, or ask somebody's father if you can have their hand in marriage, is the way he asked Mr. Carosi about it. But then he says there's a whole ceremony where his fraternity brothers would be there while he gives Stacy the pin. So apparently, this pin giving shit is like serious. But whatever. So he gives her the pin. He's all excited. Stacy doesn't know, what to do. Zack storms out again because Zack. And so we cut to the night, and Zack is ringing Lisa's doorbell in the middle of the night. And Lisa, Jesse, and Kelly all get up. They're like, of course, sort of off guard by the fact that somebody is ringing the doorbell in the middle of the night. Jesse has a bat, and she's like, Lisa and Kelly are like, "What the hell are you doing with that bat, Jesse? Like, put the bat down." And Jesse's like, "I have to have it just in case, this is a robber." And I'm like, how many robbers do you know that ring the doorbell first? Admittedly, I don't know very many people that, are, rob people's houses, but I do know that just common sense that you wouldn't ring the doorbell first to see, whether the people you're trying to rob are actually there. Like, whatever. It was stupid. It was funny though, but it turns out to be Zack, and they all have to make Zack feel better about how Stacy, likes him more than she likes corny Craig, and just have to boost him up a little bit until Stacy can end this shit. I don't understand. All of them know Stacy. They know how much of they know how assertive she usually is. So I don't know why none of them were like, I don't know, something must be wrong with Stacy for her to be like this quiet about Craig. Because Craig's a real dick. You know, Stacy on multiple different occasions, Stacy is telling him that she doesn't want to do something. She wants to do something else. And Craig just sort of talks over her and is like, nope, you know, we're doing what I say, Stacy. I love you. You know, just be a good girl and listen to corny Craig. And it's like, ew. And Mr. Carosi doesn't notice this at all. His New York daughter is like really quiet now. Her New York accent gets toned down when Craig is around. And it's like, somebody help Stacy is what I want them to do. Somebody help my Stacy. So after that, we go to the race and the ATV race. It's Slater, Zack, Jesse, Kelly, and corny Craig in the race around the beach. And corny Craig ends up winning because he like cut Zack off or something like that. And Stacy tries to talk to Zack before the race, but he won't talk to her. Like he's being a dick about it, and he's like revving up the engine of the ATV so that he's just being a dick about it. You know, she said she was trying to talk to him, but she hasn't broken up with Craig yet. Like Craig is still Craig kisses her before the race and everything. So it's like, Stacy, what have you been doing why are you trying to contact Zack instead of talking to corny Craig? Like, why don't you break up with this guy? He's corny. Like, you already know that. You don't want to be with him. Why isn't she saying anything? So the race is going on. Corny Craig wins. Jesse, just like Slater says what happened, runs off course, and she drives into the water or something like that. I don't know how you do that, but whatever. Slater was right, and I'm not mad about it for once. So corny Craig wins the race, and Stacy like tries to admonish him, like, hey, I saw what you did. I saw how you cut Zack off. That was wrong. And Craig is like, he sort of laughs it off, like, hey, it wasn't against the rules. Give me a kiss. And they walk off together. And Stacy is turning back around, looking at Zack like, I wish I could do something, but Craig is my husband now. I don't understand why she can't say anything. But whatever. So she walks off with corny Craig, and Zack is like sad, and he's back on the beach in his blazer. His blazer and his sneakers. No, is he wearing a blazer this time? No, that was the last episode where he was sitting on the beach. In this episode, he's wearing a sweatshirt and his sneakers, sitting on the beach, being emo Zack, and Stacy has to come to talk to him again. And this is when Zack finally confesses that he's in love with her, and she says that she loves him too, and everything. And she broke up with Craig. She sent Craig back home. And I don't know why we couldn't see that. Like, that's what I was waiting for in this episode, for Stacy to tell Craig off and be like, get the fuck out of here. You're corny, Craig. I don't want to be with you. Take your, corny ass pen and get the fuck out of here. Go back to Yale. But no, we get to see, Stacy talk to Zack at the end of the episode and tell him that that's what she told Craig to go back to Boston. Is Yale in Boston? I thought Yale was in Connecticut. Whatever. She sent him back to Boston. I guess she didn't care. She didn't care whether he went to Harvard or Yale. Just go back to the East Coast. Don't get out of Malibu. So they love each other and they sit on the beach and watch the ocean. And that's where it all ends, you guys. So Kelly's boyfriend was, not Kelly, Stacy's boyfriend was back, but now he's gone. And it just brought Stacy and Zack closer together. And we will continue to watch their relationship evolve in the next episode. It's going to be season 4, episode 10. I don't know what it's called. I don't know the title of the episode. But it is season 4, episode 10 if you're on Hulu. If you're not on Hulu, it's season 3, episode 10. So that is the end of the episode. Coming up on the podcast is another Cloak and Dagger episode. That show is so damn good, you guys. You should be watching. It's so good. So it'll be in the next Cloak and Dagger episode will be out by the time, well, they come out every week. So just subscribe and you'll know when they come out. The Cloak and Dagger episodes come out on Saturday, or Sunday if I'm too lazy to put it out on Saturday. And you know, these episodes come out on Thursdays. So if you're following along, you already know that. So what you need to do is follow me on social media because I am a social media maven and I am everywhere. I am a social butterfly and I talk to everyone. Not really, I'm lying, but I am on social media. So you should follow me on Twitter. Follow the podcast on Twitter at NerdTrovertPod. That's where I live tweet the shows that I watch, not Saved by the Bell, but other shows, Cloak and Dagger, Fear the Walking Dead. I live tweet all of that. So follow me at NerdTrovertPod for the live tweets. Use hashtag NerdyWatch when you're live tweeting with me, and we can, talk about the episodes together or just in general so that you can talk to me and I'll see on the hashtag that you're speaking to moi. You can follow me personally on Twitter at TheIntrovertedNerd. On Instagram, I'm at TheIntrovertedNerd, and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/TheIntrovertedNerd. And that is it, you guys. So until the next episode, later.